Hello and welcome to another World of Warplanes video with me, Sir Ten Death. A few weeks ago during the Skies of Albion event, I got myself a German bomber and I reviewed it on my channel. But I actually got two of them and I've never got round to reviewing the other one, that is until now. So, this video today looks at the second German bomber that I acquired. The Junkers 88A was the first one. This is the second one, the Dornier Do 217M, a tier 6 German bomber. And as ever, I am going to be showing you some gameplay while I talk about what this bomber does well and what it doesn't do so well, and really whether it's worth bothering to grind towards it. These were available as things you got from loot crates during the event, but now they are tech tree planes and can be researched. The only difference between the ones you got from loot crates is they had a unique camouflage paint job, which I understand you can't get anymore. So that sort of shows off that you got them from that event rather than just researching them. So I will be later on making a comparison against the only other tier 6 bomber in the game, which is the American Douglas Invader, which I'll put a link to in my video right now because I did a review of that a few weeks ago. So, yeah, off we go then. We're going to head off and we're going to do some bombing here. And the first thing I'm going to do is raise my altitude a little bit higher up here because I want to get as far away from those anti-aircraft guns and any defensive fighters and heavy fighters as I possibly can. So let's have a chat about the plane as we go here then. So, its hit points. It's got 1,000 of them, and that's quite nice. At tier 6, that means you can take quite a little bit of a hammering and still survive it and get into a scrape or two. And I'm just coming up with the first target here and zooming in, and then just going to slow myself down, and I'm just having a look to see what I really want to hit with these bombs here. Now, I'm having a look at my team. There's quite a few of us coming this way, so theoretically, things I don't finish off, actually somebody else has already taken some of these out, so I'm going for the bigger targets here. I'm going to try and dump myself more than one. I'm going to dump myself 3 of these in one go, and then again for the next sort of target, dump groups of them. I learned a while ago when I was playing bombers that dropping a single bomb at a time got little bits of damage, got yourself some points on the board, but what it did was it created a situation where you've done maybe 3/4 of the damage to a ground installation, and the way this game works is whoever actually does the final bit of damage takes the points for controlling it. So if you do 90% of the damage to a ground target and then the enemy come and finish it off, they get the sort of points for capping, and that's how they can take over. So it's worth, if you're a bomber, if you're unsure, dropping a whole heap of bombs. Basically drop a load of them in on one installation. It's better to take one of them out completely, one of those big ones out completely, or 2 or 3 smaller ones, and to leave several of them half damaged. So I've just dumped my first load of bombs here, and I've mentioned the hit points already. Second thing worth mentioning then is the maneuverability rating, which is shocking. But it's a bomber after all. It's not designed to nip in and out of combat. It's not designed to be getting involved really in confrontations with any other sort of planes. Its maneuverability rating is 13. Yes, you heard that right. 13. And that gives it a turn time of 20.6 seconds. It's a big, slow moving plane and it takes a long time to shift around. But that's okay, it's a bomber. Its role is to do as I'm doing here, to get in on those targets, to dump all your bombs off, to try and take control of an area. And then what I do, as you can see, is I drop out of bomber view. I try to get myself, using some of my boosts sometimes, to get out of the sort of the circle where those anti-aircraft guns can't shoot me while I'm reloading, and then I turn around and go either back to a different area, and I'm actually going back here to the first one. I dumped my first lot of bombs above that aircraft base, and I'm heading back that way now because I really want our team to take control of that area, and I'm just on my way back there now. Altitude, it's suggested altitude that this performs best at is actually about 2,000 meters, but I found with all the bombers I played so far that I normally go higher than that. It might, it might reduce the efficiency of the plane a little bit, but it makes it more survivable. If you are going to stay at 2,000 meters, you are putting yourself in a position where enemy heavy fighters will get to you. Even some light fighters can get 2,000 meters and will shoot you down. If you go up to the 2,500, maybe even 2,600, 2,700 meters, you're putting yourself into a place where you get some anti-aircraft gun problems, but most planes won't bother pushing to that height. Some will, but not too many. It makes it more difficult for the enemy to get onto your case. So you'll see that we actually capped that aircraft base before I got there, so I've turned around and gone back over here to this area, and just again dumping my bombs. I'm going to dump a whole heap of them, 4 of them on one installation here, and my personal contribution to this is creeping up. I'm on nearly 3,000, just past 3,000 combat points, so I'm doing little bits at a time. So we've talked about most things so far. Speed, it's a pretty slow plane. It ticks along normally when not boosted around 350 to 360 kilometers an hour, which is, it's okay. Not stunningly fast, but not particularly slow either. So that can take time to shift between different ground targets if you have to move across the map. If you can do as I'm doing here and dump the bombs on one area and you haven't yet capped it, you get time to turn around and go back over it, then the speed's not so much of an issue. But if you've got to cross the map to the other side, which you'll see me doing later on in this gameplay, it takes a bit of time to do that. But it's okay, it's not too bad. Let's talk about the other things then. It's Outboard Ordnance then. It carries, this plane carries 8 250 kilogram bombs that drop as single payloads, one at a time. Some other bombers drop groups of bombs, and this drops them individually. So you can't literally drop a bomb, a single bomb. 250 kilograms is roughly the same as a 500-pound bomb, so they're quite damaging. Now this is what you're really looking for. Places like this installation here, you see it's quite heavily damaged, about 3/4 of its hit points are gone. I should be able to take that with a couple of bombs, and that should put me in a position where and then I'm going to just dump all the rest of them on here and try and take that area. And hopefully it'll see that circle at the top starts to change more towards being blue. It'll take another pass or two yet for me to do this. But yeah, I am hitting the target and it is shifting from being red control, it's starting to turn back our way gradually. But I'm going to have to go back and make another pass here. It can be quite difficult for a single bomber. There actually there's another bomber here as well to take an area individually, but we've almost got 3/4 of this controlled now. Another pass required. Let's talk about the guns now. The guns are a little bit unique on this. It doesn't actually have any kind of front guns that you control directly yourself. What it does have is a whole series of turrets that are computer controlled. It has, when it's stock, it has 3 turrets, a front one, a top one and a bottom one, and each of them is pretty awful. They have a single 7.92mm machine gun in there, and that isn't really going to do very much. And this is a stock plane, this one. I think the only thing I've upgraded is one single one of the guns, the rest of it's pretty much stock. However, when the guns get upgraded, that might make a difference, because you can upgrade the front turret from one 7.92 to 2 7.92s, the top turret from one 7.92 to 3 of them, and then later on to 3 13mm guns, which will then start to serve you pretty well. And the bottom one from a single 7.92 to a single 13mm. So once the guns are fully upgraded, which these are not at the minute, then they might be able to serve more of a purpose. The few times I've played this so far, when I have actually got enemy planes nearby, I found the guns have been very much lacking and can't do very much at all to help me. But when they're upgraded, it might make a difference. On the whole, bombers are, I personally find them quite good fun to play. If I want a bit of a change from the hustle bustle of fighter play, I tend to switch to the bombers because I find them a more relaxed play style. And this plays typically like most other ones. The only one I can make a comparison to, because there's only one other tier 6 bomber in the game at present, that's the American premium one, the Douglas Invader, the A26-B. And let's talk about comparisons. Hit point wise, the American one has the edge there. It's got 200 hit points more at 1200. Both planes have the same maneuverability rating of 13 and the same turn time of 20.6 and the same altitude rating of about 2,000 meters and near enough the same speed. So there's very little between them. Key differences: that Douglas Invader has got really quite good guns. It's got 6 12.7mm forward firing cannons that you can, as a player, control yourself. And that means that if you get somebody in your sights, if maybe you're up trying to take an area and you see an enemy bomber, you can shoot them out of the sky quite easily. It also has 2 12.7 rear guns. Now that means if you get somebody on your tail, 2 12.7s can take down a light fighter quite easily, and they can put quite a lot of hurt onto a heavy fighter as well. So I would say the American premium plane has more of an edge, certainly against this as a stock model, but as I said, this is not fully upgraded yet, and those guns might be more damaging when they are upgraded. Other differences is that the Invader carries 16 100-pound bombs, where this carries 8 250-pound bombs. So you'd say this one, the German one, has the edge in terms of raw bomb damage output. Having said that, the American plane reloads those bombs faster. This takes a minute. Once you've dumped all 8 of them, this takes 1 minute 60 seconds to get another set of 8 in there. The American one has 16, and it drops them in groups of 4 at a time, I believe, so it's 5 groups of 4, and I think I'm right in saying it only takes 30 seconds to reload them, maybe 40 seconds. I think it's 30 though, I will check that. On the whole though, this is quite a nice plane to play. It's a bomber, and it plays like most of the bombers. This game's winding to an end now. It's looking like we've got this one in the bag. I haven't done phenomenally well, but I feel that I've done my part in capping some areas and helping to get those points on the board. Would I recommend going down the German bomber line? Well, yes, but that's largely because, to be honest, there's not much choice in the game at the moment. If you don't buy a premium one, if you don't buy the Blenheim 4, or the Douglas Invader, or the Russian RB-17, then the only bomber line you can look at researching and playing if you don't want to pay it all is the German line. So if you want to try out bomber play, certainly go and get the tier 4 one and check it out, and then work through to this one. It's quite a nice plane. For me, I think the Douglas Invader's a little bit better, but this is not fully upgraded yet. When it is, it might be more of a beast. How did it do on the whole? Well, you know, 77,000 credits from a non-premium plane is okay. It's not great, it's not bad. It's alright. But yeah, it's quite good fun to play. And certainly if you want to try out bombers, as I've said, without paying money for them, check out the German line. It is my hope that they bring more bombers into the game in the near future, in the forthcoming months. As ever, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please do share and subscribe, and I will be keeping them coming your way. Thanks very much for watching. Cheers now. Goodbye.